What is up, everybody? It is Alex from Heavy New York calling from the altar again, and this time we got round three with Blake from Saul. It is great to be able to talk with you. Thanks for being here today, man.
Yeah, man, I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to be chatting again. It's been a minute.
You know, it's been a hell of a minute. The last time I spoke with you, it was right before Rises Equals came out, and we were still under lockdown. And then before that, it was for the Eons EP. So I'm thankful to say that I've kept in touch with Saul since 2019, since the Eons EP. But now, this is it. The end of everything. This album is without a doubt the best offering I had to hear from Saul to date. Excellent, excellent work. For people who haven't heard the full album yet, though, do you feel that the first singles that we heard so far, such as A Million Miles, Tooth and Nail, Jack and Jill, and Better as a Memory, is maybe a good representation of this album? Or is that just one little taste?
I would say, yeah, it's a good representation of the record, but there's a lot more to offer on the full thing as well. There's a little bit different flavors on the full record, but it's definitely good representation of what they're going to be getting with the full thing. Yes.
Was there sort of like a vision with the making of this? Did it feel like you were just kind of like making a sequel to Rise as Equals? Say that 10 times fast. Or like,
Yeah.
or was this meant to almost kind of be like a new beginning where there was really no drawing board and you were just going right into it?
We try to tackle everything as if it's going to be like live on its own, like it's the first thing, because we definitely didn't want to, create a sequel to Rises Equals, but and we almost just went in there with the idea of like we're not even competing with it because it's ourselves, so we just went in there with the concept, the idea of just like, let's just create the best songs we can create in the moment. And when we went to the studio, we really didn't bring a whole lot that we actually pre-production and woodshedded from our personal studios. We went in there and we did everything from the ground up. And honestly, we just think it worked out great. And every song just has its own flair and its own feeling. And it's just we did exactly what we set out to do with no expectations, no anything, and just wrote the best songs we could write.
Yeah, you know what the reason why, like, my review to let you when an album on how good an album is when the strongest songs are the ones and this is my opinion, of course, are the strongest songs are the ones that aren't released as singles yet. I love The New Low. I think Runaway, No Mercy, Us, AD are all fantastic tracks. So it seemed like every song sort of played by its own rules, right?
Yes, absolutely. And I'm so glad you said No Mercy, because when we got done with that track, thought we might release that as a single, that and The New Low. That guitar just riffs so hard on No Mercy, and it's so I love that song. I'm really glad that you brought that one up. That's awesome.
Yeah, what did you just get beat to the punch? Like, got outvoted on what's going to be released as the singles?
It's kind of, yeah, probably. But when you get like everybody from the label and management and the band, and we're all like, we send that kind of stuff to the label and to management, and they come back. We're like, we think this is your singles, and we're like, well, we think this is our singles. Well, it turns out it's every song on the record by the time that everybody gets around to it, saying what the single is going to be. So it's a good and a really bad thing, to have, because sometimes you're just like, all right, you'll give up, you'll relinquish a little bit of control and be like, all right, if you guys think that's what it is, that's fine, because it was on my list anyway. So it was cool, and I just love the way No Mercy came out. Even if it doesn't do anything besides just live on the record, I'm just so glad that we did that as a song. Honestly,
I'm very glad you did that as a song too. And let's be real, it's not the management or the label; it was your brother, right? We could say
right,
that.
right, yeah. Between him and Kyle Odell, yeah, that song freaking it'll rip your face off with guitar riffs, yeah, for sure.
This is like a new question I like to ask too with bands, because when people tell me all the time, like, oh, we all mutually came together and it was such a cooperative process, I don't buy a second of it. All right, if you're in a band with 4 people, you're all going to be writing different songs, you have your different experiences, but do you think that maybe actually helps in a way if maybe you and Zach and everybody are like maybe in your own different worlds, and that helps add contrast to the material?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. when it comes to lyrics, I write like 98% of the lyrics and the concepts of the songs. But when it comes to not having a full thought processes on like I don't know what to say on the third line of a verse, or I don't know how to finish this part of the song, lyrically. That's when a lot of the guys, they'll chime in and be like, oh, what about this? What about this? What about this? And that idea, the best idea wins. And I'm like, yeah, that's exactly what I'm trying to say. So it's cool, and like everybody's got their different flair that they want to add to the songs, and like collectively, that's what makes the sound. It's and it's cool, and it's like when it comes to the concept of Saul writing songs, it's the best idea wins. It's not one person's baby. It's not one person's idea. It's collectively as a group. It might start with one person, but then it filters to everybody, and like everybody, even though most of the ideas get shut down, even some of mine, some of Zach's, it's like the best idea wins. I think that's how everybody gets a voice in what's going on. And it's just like, throw out ideas. There's no bad ideas, and like, let's see what happens.
Well, depending on too what the music could be about, because I know that Brother is a very, very personal song for all of you. But if you do like a song that maybe is coming from an internal source or an external source, something more personal versus more fantasy oriented, for lack of better words, does it maybe resonate with you differently, or do you feel like you channel a different energy depending on the subject matter of the song?
Yes, 100%. And like that is generally with most of our songs. I'm not an outspoken person about like my feelings or like talking about what's going on with me. So I really channel that in, and I focus that in on writing songs and writing lyrics and writing the melodies. And it's a scary thing, to put yourself in a vulnerable, spot, just because I don't do that. I don't do that as a person. So when I lay that out for the guys and like, this is what it's going to be, and this is what I'm thinking, everybody's really usually pretty receptive of it. And they're always trying to help me find the right words on what I'm trying to say, because I'll come up with 80% of it and then be like, man, I can't finish the second verse, and then the guys will be like, know exactly what I'm talking about because I explained it and over explained it again, and they're like, so it's really cool, and it's a collective thing about trying to get exactly what I'm trying to say across. I love being in the studio with the guys because everybody, we're all just, let's make the best songs we can.
And I know that I've talked with Lyrics about you on the other two times that we've spoken before, but I can never ask enough questions about Lyrics.
Yeah.
When you have to work on it for a long period of time, I was interviewing one of my favorite vocalists, Burton C. Bell from Fear Factory, or formerly Fear Factory. He told me that inspiration is like lightning, and sometimes you really have to roll with it. So like, if inspiration strikes at an inconvenient time or whatever, do you find it like the longer you're working on something, or the longer it takes to put pen to paper, the harder it is to sort of maintain that moment in a way?
100%, because as a band, we have a group, and it's just called Lyric Thread, and we'll just send lyrics back and forth to each other all the time. But we find that when we get to the studio, we almost can't use it, or maybe we just use it for a little bit of an inspiration, because when you get to the idea of like, I love these lyrics, we have to use these lyrics, then you're just starting to force feed something that doesn't come naturally in the moment. But if you use it as an inspiration anymore, I don't send lyrics to the lyric thread. I just send song titles, and like the song title might just be Storm Chasing, or whatever I'm thinking at the moment, that I think could be cool, just because I'm just trying to send like maybe a concept to the band, because it's working it in most of the time kind of kills the emotion of just trying to force in those lyrics. You know what I mean? So it's and then like for this record, we decided to do everything ground up. So, I mean, it just worked out better, and everything had a better flow to it, not trying to force feed, lyrics like that in.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned too that you don't put yourself in a vulnerable spot. But I do feel like every time you're in the artistic process, there is some sense of vulnerability in a way, because you never know what could happen. in that process in a way. So do you almost feel like
It's,
the version, but at the same time, we are who we create. So do you feel like when you're either writing or you're performing, you kind of put yourself outside of your element a little bit in a way too?
yes, 100%. I almost think of it like a character I'm playing. It's like I have to. I'm not me. I still joke around and do the thing and like have a good time. But I have to put myself in like my somebody else's shoes. You know what I mean? Like, what would I want to see them do, or what would I want to see happen, or like, put myself outside it, like I'm just somebody seeing it for the first time. Just because I don't put myself a lot in those situations of like, like I talking about my feelings or anything like that. I just don't do that. I bottle stuff up, and that's just the way I am. So when I do it and I put it out there, like I make myself pretty vulnerable when we're in the studio, and like I really talk about real situations and real things, and that's about the only time. But we're behind locked doors, and I'm with a person that we get to know through a couple days of recording, and like this is it, this is what I'm doing, this is what's going on. And so I really make that a personable thing, and like a personal thing, like really we are friends at the end of this because you are really getting to know who I am, kind of thing.
And I'm sure you guys get asked about this 1,000 times, but being in a band with your brother, and I've asked the Warning this and the Cavalieras this, and every band that consists of family members in a way, because
Yep.
it's one thing to be bonded together by this love for music, but you're also bonded together by blood. And putting aside on how metal that is, like there is an essence of camaraderie and sort of like understanding there as well. Do you think that maybe having that sort of blood relation in the band also maybe it has an underlying influence, whether you realize it or not?
I think it does, absolutely. Really no question about it, because I mean, one, Zach's my brother, but he's also my best friend. He's really the only person I've been in a band with that. I mean, we've had drummers come and go. Will, and now he's the only bass player we've ever had besides myself when we were a three-piece. So, I mean, working with Zach I couldn't imagine myself working with anybody else, in the music industry or anywhere, for that matter. But because even when we weren't doing this, we were working together, doing, factory jobs, or, working in the fields, doing stuff like that. And so, I mean, he's like honestly more than my brother, and he's like my partner. Like we tackle stuff together, and like it really comes across in our music. And like half the time what I'm thinking when it comes to writing music, he's kind of thinking about it at the same time. So we're always kind of feeding off each other, because we've been together our whole lives. So it's I couldn't imagine doing it with anybody else, really.
Absolutely. And I got to tell you, the two of you playing on stage together, it's definitely something mesmerizing to watch. As somebody who has had the privilege of seeing you live before, like it is like a magical experience, just the whole Saul experience, the way that you're able to transform that room into really just an alternate reality. And with bands in your genre, and I don't say this in like a negative way, but the hard rock sort of crowd aren't really known for turning the venue into like an alternate universe, if you know what I mean. Like I see that a lot in like black metal bands, or like or maybe like a power metal band, or bands with a lot of lights, industrial or stuff. But you guys managed to do that very, very well. I think that's what kind of makes Saul unique in a way.
Awesome. Thank you. One thing we try to do definitely when we're on stage is bring everybody together as like a brotherhood, as like, our brothers and sisters and our family. I mean, because that's why we call our fans our equals. And, that really came up to because we were seeing bands come up and do the thing before, Brother took off and all this stuff. Like they were calling, the army, the society, the citizens, or whatever, what have you, calling their fans. And so we really had to dive in and think about what our fans meant to us and how real they are and crucial they are. So that's where the equals comes up. And now we have the equals picture. We do it every show. And we really try to bring that in. Like, this is a family get together. This is a family event. And, we really try to portray that. I'm glad it comes across like that. Like this is our event together.
Absolutely. And speaking of live shows, because I'm so stoked for this upcoming tour with Red. First off, you guys in Red on the same bill is just a treat in itself. Thank you for bringing that to New York City, because I was looking at that tour flyer and I was getting ready to go into rage if that wasn't going to the city. But
yeah.
But I wanted to ask you, because when Rises Equals came out, there was no touring happening. So in terms of the set list, because I definitely want to hear, we all have to hear Brother, and the Eons EP is still timeless. What's the set list going to consist of?
We're definitely going to be playing some of the new songs, but I mean, we can't get rid of like Brother, King of Misery. We'll be doing, I think honestly with coming up on this record this tour with Red, I think we might change up the set list from show to show, adding in, Trial by Fire. And then the next night it'll be Better as a Memory. And the next night it'll be this, and the next night it'll be that, just to keep it fresh for us. And so it's not so on the nose to every show we go to, where it's like, I saw him last night in, Milwaukee. This is the show they're going to do. You know what I mean? So it's, it's definitely something that we're going to do on this next tour for sure.
That's interesting. Please play Belied on the New York City show, please.
Okay. All right. We haven't played that in a while. I will say that. And we've had a couple requests for that. So I think there's a few shows coming up in that fall run that we have to play Belied for sure.
Okay. And make a note, New York City, like star that next to it. But like,
okay.
You got throughout your touring history. Now you've been on like a variety of different tour packages. Like the last tour I could think of off the top of my head, you did a tour with Memphis May Fire and Norma Jean, which was quite a unique lineup too. And then you've toured with like Through Fire, which I think has like a similar following. But have you noticed different like reactions or different types of experiences depending on the tour that you've been on?
Yes and no. I mean, generally, generally they've all been great. They've all been great tours. But this last tour that we just got off of with Memphis May Fire and Norma Jean, hands down the best tour we've ever done. One, the camaraderie between the bands was phenomenal. We have become such good friends with like the Memphis May Fire and the Norma Jean guys, just based off of like, our job is get to the show, do your sound check, blow it up on stage, get off stage, get ready for the next one, and we're high-fiving and having a good time afterwards. There was a handful of shows where there wasn't stagehands, or there wasn't enough stagehands to get bands on and off stage, very quickly. So like the Saul boys, the Norma Jean guys were all ripping each other's gear off. We're just working. Like the mindset was so great. Like, we're out here to put on a kick-ass rock show, and that's exactly what we're going to do at all costs. And, like, it was just such a great feeling to have that camaraderie. And, like, I would do anything for either one of those bands, Norma Jean or Memphis May Fire, because they're such great guys, honestly.
That's awesome to hear. And I love it when that type of camaraderie happens, and that, the blood, sweat, and tears that you all have with not just your own bandmates, but with the bands that you tour with. That goes to show that we're all in this movement together. We are all equals. I got to throw in that marketing thing.
100%. Yeah, dude. Yeah, you did
it. Yeah. But it's funny, too, because I actually saw Norma Jean back in the spring, and they put on a fucking violent show. Like, they have, with the metalcore and with the sort of deathcore crowd or whatever. And I love those diverse lineups. I love, seeing, like a pop punk band play with like a black metal band or something like that. But I'm just wondering, did you have people crowd killing during your set?
No. Luckily, I'm not. I don't like being in the crowd when that sort of stuff happens. But we definitely had some moshing. We definitely had some getting after it, stuff. But the crowd sort of, we did our thing. Everybody was in it, doing the equals, doing the whole thing. But then you got a band like Norma Jean that comes up there, and then all of a sudden the room just starts to twist, and people just start running in circles, like a circle pit just forms. Like, how did this even happen? Where did this even start? So it was great that the fans were there for both sides of it. They were in there just for the great experience. And then you get a band like Memphis May Fire that comes on after that, and they're back to just having a good time rocking out. So it was it's such a diverse thing that happened. but I think it was a great experience for the audience, and it was a great experience for us too.
Yeah, definitely. So before we go, I want to thank you so much for your time, and as usual for coming back onto the show, and most of all, thank you for more great new music. Is there just anything else with Saul you'd like to promote in addition to the Red Tour coming up? What else we could be expecting, if you're allowed to say at this time, of course?
Yeah. I mean, definitely expect more music videos coming out. Honestly, just go to saulofficial.com. Anytime you message any of the Saul social medias, you get a direct message from me, guaranteed. Just get out there, follow us, because we got a lot of new music coming up. We got the new record dropping. Aside from that, we're already actually working on new music on the side, and like, it's just going to be great. We're just out there. We're going to tear it up on this Red Tour, and it's just going to be an awesome time. And we're so excited for the rest of this year and the new year to come.
Hell yeah, September 22nd, Gramercy Theater. And I live actually 4 blocks from there, so I'm like a 2-minute walk away. So
awesome.
I'll show you guys all the good pizza spots.
You literally have to. I'm not taking no for an answer, because we haven't had a New York slice yet at all.
Well, we'll make that happen. You have my contacts, so.
Boom.
Thank you so much. Everybody, we are here with Saul. This is it. The end of everything. Be sure to pick that up. This is Alex from Heavy New York, and we will see you next time.